In the last lesson, we learned about external libraries and how to install and use them with pip. In this lesson, we are going to learn about JSON. JSON is one of the most important things to understand in modern programming. If you ever want to build web applications, working with APIs, or exchanging data between programs, you will encounter JSON everywhere. So, what is JSON? JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. Do not let the name confuse you. Even though it has JavaScript in the name, JSON is not limited to JavaScript. It is a universal format used by almost every programming language in the world, including Python. JSON is simply a way of storing and exchanging data in a format that is easy for both humans to read and machines to process. Think about it like this. When two people from different countries want to communicate, you need a common language they both understand. When two different programs or a program and a website want to exchange data, they need a common format they both understand. JSON is that common format. You have actually already been working with something similar. Remember Python dictionaries? JSON looks almost identical to a Python dictionary. That is why Python and JSON work so well together. Let's open the terminal and go into our working directory. Before we write any code, let me show you what JSON actually looks like. Let's create a new file named sample.json. Switch to insert mode. Then let's type some JSON codes. Press escape and save. Now let's look at this JSON carefully. You can see that it looks almost exactly like a Python dictionary with keys and values. The keys are always in strings inside double quotation marks. The values can be strings, numbers, lists, booleans, or even another JSON object nested inside. There are a few small differences between JSON and a Python dictionary. In JSON, booleans are written as true or false, all lowercase. In Python, they are true with capital letter T and false with capital letter F. In JSON, null, N-U-L-L, means no value. In Python, we use none, N-O-N-E. JSON always uses double quotation marks. Python accepts both single and double quotation marks. Apart from these small differences, the two look very similar. That is why converting between Python dictionary and JSON is very easy. Python has a built-in module called json that handles everything for us. You do not need to install anything, it is already there. The two most important things the JSON module does are: 1. Parsing, that is, converting JSON into a Python dictionary so we can work with it. The second is serializing, which is converting a Python dictionary into JSON so that we can save it and store it. Let me show you both. Let's create a new file called json.demo.py. Switch to insert mode, then let's write some codes. Press escape, then save. Run the file. You can see that Python dict printed the data as a Python dictionary. The type is class dict, which is confirming that it is now a Python dictionary. We accessed the values using keys, just like any Python dictionary. json.loads function is what converts a JSON string into a Python dictionary. The S in loads stands for string. It loads JSON from a string. Now, let's go the other way, converting a Python dictionary into JSON. Let's try that. Press escape, then save. Let's run the file. You can see that JSON string is now a JSON formatted string, and the type is class str. Notice that Python's true with capital letter T has been converted to JSON's true with small letter t automatically. The JSON module handles that conversion for us. json.dumps function converts a Python dictionary to a JSON string. The S in dumps stands for string. That is, it dumps to a string. Now, let's make the output more readable. JSON can be formatted with indentation to make it easier to read. We do this by passing an indent value. Let's try that. Press escape, then save. Let's run the file. You can see that the JSON is now formatted with proper indentation, exactly like the sample.json file we created earlier. This is much easier to read. So far, we have been working with JSON as strings in memory. But in real programs, JSON data are usually stored in files or received from the internet. Let's learn how to read JSON from a file or write JSON to a file. To read JSON from a file, we use json.load function without s. To write JSON to a file, we use json.dump function without s. The difference is simple. json.loads function and json.dumps function. Both of them work with strings. That is why they both have s at the end. But json.load function and json.dump function, they work with files. So both of them do not have s at the end. Let me show you. Let's create a new file called json.file.py. Press I to switch to the start mode. Then let's write the following codes. Press escape and save. Let's run the file. You can see that the JSON file was written successfully, and also we read it back and access the values just like a regular Python dictionary. Let's confirm if the file was created. Type ls. You can see that student.json is there. Let's open it with Vim. You can see the neatly formatted JSON file with proper indentation, exactly as we wrote it. Let's quit. In real application, JSON data often contains a list of objects, not just one object. For example, a list of all students or a list of all products in the store. Let me show you how to work with that. Let's create a new file named jsonstudent.py. Press I to switch to the insert mode. Then let's write the following codes. Press escape, then save. Let's run the file. You can see that all 5 students were written to the JSON file. Then read back, and each one was printed perfectly. This is very close to how real applications work. A web application might receive a list of students as JSON from the server, load it into Python, and then process and display the data. Now, let me show you something powerful, which is combining JSON with the request library we installed in the last lesson. When you make a request to an API on the internet, the response almost always comes back in JSON format. The request library makes it very easy to work with that JSON. Let's create a new file named jsonrequest.py. Switch to the insert mode, then let's write the following codes. Press escape, then save. Let's run the file. You can see that we fetched real user data from the internet and displayed it. JSON placeholder.typicode.com is a free testing API that returns fake but realistic data. It is very useful for learning and testing. Response.json automatically converts the JSON response from the API to a Python dictionary, so we can access the values using keys immediately. Before we can use a JSON response, we need to convert it to what Python understands, which is Python dictionary. We cannot use the JSON format directly inside the Python code because Python does not understand JSON format. But the response.json function converts the JSON response into the Python dictionary that the Python code understands. Notice how we access nested data, that is the user into company into name. Now let's build the final practice program for this lesson. Let's create a new file called contact.book.json.py. Switch to the insert mode. Then let's write some codes. Press escape, then save. Let's run the file. Let me choose option 1 and add a contact. You can see that the contact was saved. Let me run it again and add another contact. Now, let me run it and choose option 2 to view all contacts. You can see both contacts displayed. Now, let me run it again and search for a contact by name. You can see the contact was found and displayed. Let's check what the JSON file looks like. Let's open it with Vim. You can see all the contacts stored neatly in JSON format, ready to read back anytime the program runs. Let's quit. This is a complete contact book application that saves and loads data using JSON. Every time you add a contact, it is written to the JSON file. Every time you view or search, it reads from the JSON file. The data is always there even after you close the program. Now let's push everything to the GitHub. Let's go and check the GitHub. You can see that all our new files have appeared in the repository.